Good day everyone, it's Caitlin, and today we are making a 19 sunbonnet. Alright, editing Caitlin here. So, I lost all the footage from the beginning of this video. It's back from February, I don't know what happened to it. I was in the old house getting ready to move, and I don't know. Anyway, just to give you a quick recap, I am using fabric from the Button Baron. I believe it's from Family Heirloom Weavers. They weave historic fabrics on antique looms. I was originally going to make an apron, decided to make a sunbonnet instead. I'm using Godey's Ladies Book, which is a fashion magazine. They had in 1857 published a sunbonnet pattern. And there's the illustration, and then there's the bonnet pattern. The bonnet pattern does not make up to be like the illustration, and I knew that going into that. But I'll just put those on the screen so you can kind of see the illustration as well as the pattern, and then we can go right on to the video, which is where we start the sewing. Alright, so starting on the sewing of this corded bonnet, we are going to start by doing all the ties. So there are 4 ties. There are the long ties that go in front, and then there are shorter ties in the back to kind of fit it to the back of the head. So that's what we're starting with now. It's just a simple hem stitch. I narrow hemmed all the edges. So this is one of the shorter ones, and this is one of the longer ones. And yeah, it's just basically just going all the way through and getting all the stitching done. And I very well could have done all this by machine, considering the fact that there were machines around in the 1850s and 60s, but I decided to do it by hand because I've been working on it at events. So I started by hand. It makes sense to, complete it by hand. But we're only doing 3 sides, so I'm leaving one little side raw because it's going to fit into the bonnet itself. So we're just going to go down, across, and back up again on all 4 little ties. And I guess the next step is probably going to be actually cording the corded bonnet. Alright, very quick update. So I have apparently lost one of the mini ties, so the ties that go in the back. That's going to be okay. I think, so I had options. I do have this stripe I could have made another bonnet out of, but I need this to make a maternity bodice for my 1880s dress because they have an event back or next March. And I think I'm probably going to need that for. So I probably shouldn't cut into this. So what I think I'm going to do is cut the one small tie I do have in half and make a very narrow tie. And I just have to hem up both those edges, which is going to be annoying, but I guess it should work. And this fabric has been in so many places because I started it months ago before the move, and I have no idea where that could have gone. It could be in a dozen places. Because I can think off the top of my head a dozen places that this project has been with me having the intention of working on it and not getting around to it. Yeah, this is going to be a very narrow tie. But you know what? It'll work. Now I just get to hem up that one side on these 2, and I will have 2 ties again. This is the curtain to the bonnet, and I'm just doing a narrow hem. Well, I guess it's not necessarily narrow hem, it's about a 1/4 inch hem. All the way around except for leaving the top, because that's where we're going to attach the other pieces. And I've already gathered the crown. Did that several months ago, so I think the next step we're going to do a gathering thread across this and go ahead and prep the brim. I'm doing all that cording and all that, and then we'll be ready to assemble the whole thing. Now that I'm actually sitting down with the project, it's going pretty fast. Yeah, it's taking me like 3 to 4 months, but once I actually sat down and started it, it's not too difficult. Here's the brim. And I think I'm going to have to do a back stitch across this. That's going to be the most secure. So I'm going to go basically all the way around except for leaving this flat edge. This is the brim, and I'm just doing a back stitch all the way across, leaving, of course, that straight edge open so that we can attach it later to the crown. Alright, I am putting the cording channels into this bonnet, and I'm just using a running stitch. It's fast and easy. And I think what I'm going to do, So when you look at originals, they're basically all different. People just did what they wanted, what they thought looked nice. I've seen some with a lot of cording just around the edges and then straight in like rows and patterns. I've seen some that were waved. I've seen all sorts of things. But what I think I'm going to do, because I have these stripes here, is basically just follow the stripes. So this is going to be a cord, this is going to be a cord, this will be 3 cords, 2 cords, 1 cord, 1 cord, 3 cords, 2 cords, 1 cord, 1 cord, 3 cords, and so on. And I'm putting the yarn with the giant needle through it afterwards. So right now I'm just going to do all the cording channels so that I can do all the cording at once. That sounded like it was a much easier plan than doing it, one stitch, row stitching, cord it, 1 row stitching, cord it. It just seemed like it was going to be faster if I did it in sets. The only problem with my plan of doing this is technically the back isn't as straight. So I have all these, really nice straight rows, but then this isn't working out very well because you can see how off it is here. But I think that's what we're going to do, and no one's going to really see the underside anyway because it's going to be, over my head. Alright, so I have all the channels stitched, and we're putting in cording. So I'm using, this is Knit Picks Dishy, and I just have it at white. I get a giant cone of it. I have it in several colors, giant cones of them, because I like it so much. Not even for historical use, mostly just for modern stuff. That's something I always have on hand. This makes great cording for things like corsets, quarter corsets, bonnets, a lot of things. Not dress cording. This is far too thick for dress cording. Do not use this for dress cording or anything of this thickness. Like, this would be similar to the peaches and cream or the sugar and cream yarn you get at Walmart or Hobby Lobby. No, this is not dress cording. This is corset cording, for stays, for bonnets, that sort of thing. So what I'm going to do is I have the channels here. I have my giant yarn needle, and I just put it through, and it makes it so much easier if your needle is not sharp. If it's a dull needle, it makes it a little bit easier. And I'm just going all the way down. Pulling it as needed. Until we get to the end, we're going to pull out. Pull it to where you don't see it on that end anymore. Stretch it out, because you'll always get a little bit of gathering, and you want to avoid that as much as possible. There's always going to be some puckering, but just avoid it as much as possible. Cut that off, pull it out, so you don't see it on this end, and go to the next channel. And this is the last one. I could have done 1 or 2 more on this side, but I want to make sure I had enough space for a seam allowance. So we might put another, channel of cording in there later. We may not. Alright, so we now have a corded bonnet brim. Here's the crown part. I actually think I need to be finishing this edge first. Let's do a little bit of a hem stitch, or a whip stitch as we would call it today. I cut this out so long ago that I don't even remember my original plan for this. That's what happens when you sell a house, move in with somebody, finish a school year, move again, and then find the project in a abandoned cubby hole. So, yeah, it's been a while. I mean, you probably noticed a change of venues. That's, yeah. That's what happened. And then on this side, we're going to do the same thing. Except for I stitched that all the way up, and I shouldn't have done that. Alright, camera died on me. So, all I did was do the back stitch across, and so now we are just doing the whip stitch again. And this is the underside of the bonnet. Alrighty. So that is the back sewn on. Now let's figure out this curtain. Okay, because this edge was already done, I'm having a hard time figuring out how I'm going to attach this, so we're going to go ahead and hem this, and I'm going to whip the two ends together. Right sides together, centers matched. So I mark the centers. What I wish I had done is process this before I did all this cording, because it really needed to not hem this or this, stitch them together, and put it in here too, and then done the cording. But I'm not taking out all that hand stitching, and this is going to look the right from the outside. It'll just look weird from the inside. And I think the tie should be here too. So let's see here. This is the right side. I want to turn it this way. You know what? We'll do ties in a little bit. We'll do that separate. So it looks just like it's stitched together, which is the goal. So that's what we want, is it just to look stitched together, even though the inside's going to be a little wonky. I mean, it honestly doesn't actually look all that bad. Alright, I have the inside of the bonnet. We're going to attach some ties. So first I'm going to make sure that they're, actually the other way. No raw edges are shown. I'm putting them right in the middle, or where the curtain starts is the middle of the tie. Now again, this is another thing that I should have done inside the cording, but I did the cording first because I wasn't thinking. I also don't make a lot of bonnets. Like, it's maybe the third bonnet I've made. Corded bonnet, that is, or slat bonnet, sunbonnet. So all this is not very familiar to me. Flip it. I'm just going to sew this down with a running stitch, basically. Well, this ended up not necessarily being a project with, you know, typical bonnet construction techniques for the 19th century, but I'm going to get something that looks like a 19th century bonnet from the outside, and not entirely out of the realm of possibility on the inside. Just not typical. Alright, let's put the other ties on. And this is going to basically go the same way. Except for right where the brim starts, this is where I'm going to start the tie. Go ahead and tie this in the back. Usually mine go, you know, they're pretty close. I can adjust this later if need be. But I have a sunbonnet now, so let's go try it on. Alright, got dressed quick and dirty, so no petticoats. I'm not even wearing a corset right now, honestly. I can't find any of my stuff right now. We're in the middle of packing and moving, but I want to get this video out for y'all. And I did finish the bonnet, so I was like, okay, I know I can fit in this dress without a corset. Yeah, it looks really wonky and funky because, yeah, I don't have any undergarments on. This is not period at all, but I can at least show you the bonnet. So, okay. It probably needs to be starched a bit because it's a little floppy. And there's ties somewhere. I know there's ties. There they are. Oh yeah, it needs to be starched. You see how it's flopping on me? It needs to be starched. That will be very easily solved. But look at that. So it covers the shoulders just nicely, just barely, but it works. So that's the good part. There it is from the side. Has the back. And it's kind of a short curtain for this time period. I can't even reach it back there. Okay, I can't reach it. Just barely reach it. Okay. Yeah. That's a short curtain for the mid-19th century. But I mean, again, I was very limited on fabric. So we are dealing with what we got here. And it would probably help if I stuffed my hair underneath the tie. That would probably help the fit a bit. Yeah, I mean, there's perfect, but yeah, there's a very good cover. I do kind of feel like I have my head in the mailbox, which I'm not a fan of, but the nice thing about corded bonnets as opposed to slat bonnets is I can fold it back. I have no sun protection, so it's not even worth wearing at this point. If I needed to stop and talk to somebody without feeling like I'm in a mailbox, I can at least fold it back a little bit, so it's not covering my ears so much, which is, I think, an advantage corded bonnets have over slat bonnets. The disadvantage, as you can see, is that it will need to be starched to be worn. So yeah, that is a disadvantage. But I'd rather starch and not feel like I have my head in the mailbox than, yeah, feel like I have my head in a mailbox. So, yeah. Trying to get it to stay for the video. Let me know. Stay. Okay, let's see how that works. We'll see how long that works. 2 seconds, apparently. But yeah, that is the corded bonnet. I love it. I am so happy to have something that's not plaid in my 1860s wardrobe. I was thinking about that the other day. My working class 1850s and 60s wardrobe is almost entirely plaid. I mean, my aprons are plaid, my dresses, both dresses are plaid. They're all kind of in the same color concept too. I was like, okay, I need something that's not plaid for working wear 1850s and 60s. And so when I came across this, it was originally going to be an apron, and I didn't have quite enough for an apron. So I was like, okay, we're making a sunbonnet. And I barely had enough for that. I'm not a fan of working class bonnets. I don't think they look great, but it is what it is. They do their job, which is sun protection for your neck and your head. So if nothing else, it serves its function, and it's not plaid. So I'm happy with it. As far as I could be happy with the corded bonnet or slat bonnet, this has all the things going for it. I like corded bonnets better than slat bonnets, and I like that it's a stripe, and it serves its function. So that's really all we can ask for, isn't it? But yes, if you enjoyed the video, please make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel. Click that little bell notification so you're notified anytime I upload a new video. And as always, have a fantastic week, and I'll see you back here in the next video.